Hello, everybody, and welcome. We are officially going to kick off our webinar here today. If you haven't been joining us or you're joining us for the first time, my name is Susie. I work for Stuller. I'm excited to be here with all of y'all today. We are going to be discovering the benefits of 8X lab-grown diamonds in today's webinar. And Stuller is excited to join forces with the GEM Certification and Assurance Lab, which is, of course, everybody knows them as GCAL in the industry. We're going to be diving pretty deeply into the world of 8X graded lab-grown diamonds. So maybe you do, maybe you know, maybe you don't, but GCAL's 8X Ultimate Cut grade lab-grown diamonds achieve excellent grades across 8 aspects of cut quality. In today's webinar, GCAL and Stuller will present the added value and benefit of these 8X diamonds. And by the end of this discussion, you should have not only a greater understanding of the stones themselves, but also some pretty great insights on how you can entice customers to be purchasing these stones from your stores. So a few housekeeping notes before we begin. We've all, I'm sure, been in webinars before, but just a friendly reminder to all our participants out there, just please keep your cameras off as well as leaving your microphones on mute. We want to make sure that everybody has a pleasant viewing experience and that all of our speakers are able to say everything they want to say without any interruption. Speaking of our speakers, I'm going to take some time to introduce the experts who are going to be joining us here today. So joining me from Stuller's global headquarters in the beautiful Lafayette, Louisiana, I have Carl and Heather. Carl Lenhart is the Senior Diamond Director at Stuller and is a graduate gemologist with 27 years in the diamond industry, and 17 of those were spent buying diamonds for Stuller. So Carl, thank you for being here today. I also want to welcome Heather Fontenot, who is the Senior Director of Diamond and Gemstone Merchandising. Heather has been with Stuller for 7 years, and all of those have been spent in the Diamond and Gemstone Merchandising department. Heather, fantastic to have you here with us today. And then live from New York, we have our GCAL team. I am joined today by Angelo Palmieri, who is the COO and a partner of GCAL, as well as the president of Gemprint Corp. He is responsible for overseeing all operations, and he is driven to maintain high standards and deliver accurate information to the consumer. Most importantly, he is relentless in his pursuit of winning the office football pool. Angelo, thank you so much for joining us today. We're also joined by Sherry Woodring from GCAL. She has been with GCAL for 17 years as a senior gemologist and VP of product development. She played an integral role in developing the 8X concept, which is a really big deal. And more importantly, she won the first week of the office's football pool. So Sherry, what an honor to have you here with us today. A winner, we love that. And finally, last but not least, we have Steve Feldman, who is the Director of Sales and Marketing at GCAL and a true industry veteran. He's a former publisher of several jewelry trade magazines, the Vice President of Chatham, and most recently, the Director of Sales and Marketing for De Beers site holder Hassenfeld Stein. He has been indispensable in bringing 8X to the market and enthusiastically providing 8X sales training. Again, most importantly, he intends to win his office's football pool this week. We love that. We love someone who's got a goal. Nothing wrong with that. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and kick this webinar off today by asking Carl, what is it about these 8X diamonds that Stuller is embracing so wholeheartedly? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, it's twofold. One of the first things I recognize is that the current parameters for what is an excellent cut diamond by most laboratories is far too broad. And the diamond manufacturers have figured out how to cut around the edges of that parameter. So while technically the diamond qualifies as an excellent cut, it's only millimeters away from being very good. The second reason is a problem that exists with all of the midstream in the diamond community. And that as more and more people enter into this segment, it becomes a race to the bottom on price and not an effort to add value to the product. With 8X, we have a marriage between great technology and wonderful craftsmanship to create the most perfectly made diamond. So we must embrace and promote a premium product so we do not get caught up in the race to the bottom. Excuse me.
All right. Don't want to get caught up in that race to the bottom. One thing I did kind of forget to mention, and I apologize, but if you have any questions that come up during the course of our webinar, please go ahead and use that chat function that Zoom provides. We're hoping we're going to have a little bit of time at the end for some of our experts to answer any questions that you may have. So go ahead and utilize that chat function while you're here. All right, so let's get into it. Angela, why don't you talk to us about where did the idea for 8X come from?
Well, thank you. Thank you, Susie, for the great question. Most importantly, thank you guys all for being here with us.
Angela, it looks like maybe you're on mute. Do you mind just checking your microphone for us, please? Gotta love a webinar, folks.
No. Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
Yes, you can hear me? All right. Well, thank you guys all for being here with us today. We greatly appreciate the time that you're taking out of your busy days to be with us. So I just want to talk a little bit about where 8X or how 8X was born. And it was born from personal experience. Over the years, so many friends, acquaintances, and family have reached out for advice when buying an engagement ring. They, of course, want something beautiful. After all, it's an important emotional purchase, and everyone wants to get it right. And I want to help them find that gorgeous diamond that they'll love. Just like I'm sure everyone here today wants to help their customers. Sometimes they share a list of diamonds that they're considering purchasing. But unless we can personally inspect them, or those diamonds have already passed through the GCAL lab, we'd be relying on very limited information from other lab reports. Reports that tell you almost nothing about the cut quality, and worse, the veracity of the grading is often questionable. So let me show you a very quick example. Looking at these two reports, how would you ever know which diamond to recommend? The information is too limited. Is table and depth percentage, along with polish and symmetry, enough information? This is the problem. Until you can actually see the diamond, how would you really know what you're going to get? You might prefer or even expect the diamond on the right, but based on those reports, you certainly could get one of the other two. For example, the reports provide no indication of the true shape outline of the diamond. And with a limited proportion set and lack of images, you have no indication of if the diamond has a bow tie. Again, there's just not sufficient information to make an informed decision about what that stone will look like. The other problem with round diamonds, as Carl alluded to earlier, is that far too many diamonds are graded excellent. And to prove this point, we searched both wholesale and consumer listings and confirmed that around 75% of all round diamonds were being graded excellent cut. Well, if everything is an excellent, how can we distinguish the best? The parameters of the excellent cut are simply too wide. If your aim is to purchase an excellent cut diamond, you can't be sure what you're going to get. So we set out to create the most comprehensive and stringent performance-based cut grade that exists in the market. Simply said, to aim for the best. And this is the 8X guaranteed certificate. It's redefining how retail jewelers sell premium cut diamonds, with all the scientific information, photos, and videos that prove the diamond is exceptionally cut. And it's important for you and your customers to know that everything is graded here in the US, in our New York City laboratory, and backed by the GCAL grading guarantee. Now, before we get into the details of the 8X cut grade, I'd like to share a quick 1-minute video that helps tell this story. It's now been viewed over almost 200,000 times on YouTube and is free to use in all of your marketing.
How do you know when you've found a perfectly cut diamond? It's an 8X. The GCAL 8X. The ultimate in diamond cut grade. If you can't prove a diamond is perfectly cut, it's probably not. Quest GCAL. GCAL ATEX.
The GCAL 8X cut grade assesses 8 critical factors of cut quality, as you see here on the screen. The 8X cut grade can be viewed as 3 broader categories. Physical excellence, which is comprised of polish, symmetry, and proportions. Light performance excellence, which is comprised of optical brilliance, fire, and scintillation. And optical excellence, which is comprised of optical symmetry and hearts and arrows for round diamonds. And all 8 must achieve a grade of excellent to qualify as an 8X diamond. We're now going to go quickly over each of the 8 X's. First is polish. We are assessing the diamond surface and the freeness of scratches, nicks, pits, dop, and many other surface features. Here we see a fine scratch on the table facet. This is the difference between a very good and an excellent. While it doesn't have a huge impact on the performance of the diamond, imagine you're buying a brand new sports car. You don't want a scratch on the hood. External symmetry is comprised of foundational attributes like table and culet alignment, uniform shape outline, and facet pointing. Here you see minor symmetry faults that would prevent a diamond from being 8X certified. Optical scanning technology measures each facet and angle to produce an accurate 2-scale diagram of every diamond. These narrow proportion tolerances were selected because they represent the intersection at which the perfect combination of brilliance, fire, and scintillation is achieved. Here on the screen, you see the GCAL 8X, GIA XXX, and AGS 000 proportions side by side, and you will see the significant differences in the standard. One quick note, finding the precise tolerances that AGS and GIA use is actually quite difficult. So these parameters are based on data from their websites and from actual reports that receive XXX and 000 grades. And while the GIA and AGS systems allow only specific combinations within these ranges, you will note how vastly different they are from 8X and how wide they both are. And one easy way to think about this chart, every GCAL 8X certified diamond would be guaranteed to be a XXX or 000, but the reverse is not true. Brilliance is the overall return of white light to the viewer. It is measured by GCAL proprietary technology to the 1,000th decimal place and is represented in the images on screen. The white areas indicate light return or brilliance, and the dark blue areas indicate light loss. Here you see an example of an 8X proportion stone contrasted with a deep stone with a large table. You can note the obvious differences in visual appearance in the photographs and in the brilliance images. Fire results when white light travels through a diamond and is dispersed into its rainbow of spectral colors. These flashes of color contribute to sparkle and are best viewed as the diamond moves. Here you see 2 diamonds, one with good fire and an 8X with excellent fire. Scintillation is the flashes of white light or sparkle produced when light is reflected from a diamond as it moves. This video shows the light return from a single beam of light when your diamond is rotated in 9 positions. Optical symmetry is visualized in this photograph in a 5-angle reflector. The evenness of the pattern illustrates the precision and uniformity of facet shape and alignment. Now, one question that comes up often is how and why external symmetry and optical symmetry could be graded differently for the same stone, and it's a great question. So every single angle, relative angle, facet shape, and facet size contribute to the diamond's optical symmetry. With external symmetry, sometimes these slight differences are imperceptible. For example, how many of you could discern a 1-degree variance in pavilion half angles 5 and 16, or a 2% difference in lower girdle facet lengths? I'd say not many, but this variation has a dramatic impact on the optical symmetry of the stone as light is reflected and refracted throughout the stone. So this stone here you see here on the screen is a great example of this deviation. the stone was graded a triple excellent, but only has a good optical symmetry grade. Here on the screen, you'll see 8 optical symmetry images. All of these diamonds were graded triple X, but only one has excellent GCAL optical symmetry. So if you thought it was H, you would be correct. Now on the screen, you see 3 stones graded 000 by AGS, but only one would be considered excellent optical symmetry by GCAL. As you can see, there's quite a wide variance between these 3 stones. And while the most easily observed attributes on these 3 images is optical symmetry, AGS actually doesn't grade optical symmetry. So this explains how these 3 stones with different levels of optical symmetry and performance could all still achieve the highest grade of 000. So if you thought C was the one with excellent optical symmetry, you would be correct. The final X, the 8th X for round brilliance, is hearts and arrows, which is visualized when round brilliant cut diamonds are viewed in specific lighting conditions. Each pattern is the result of superior facet placement and exact alignment. Again, all of these diamonds were graded triple X, but only one has what GCAL would consider an excellent H&A pattern. If you thought D had excellent hearts and arrows, you would be correct. I'm now going to turn this presentation over to Sherry, who will be taking you through the 8X oval and 8X princess cut standards.
Okay, thank you very much, Angelo, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to be here with us. So I'm going to start by explaining a little about the methodology we use to establish the 8X parameters for fancy shapes. For the last 20 years, GCAL has been assessing the optical light performance of diamonds that pass through our lab. We've captured the optical symmetry, brilliance, scintillation, photomicrographs, and proportions on over 1 million diamonds. So in the next slide, you can see this is just a tiny fraction of the performance images that we've relied upon and data mined when establishing the 8X standards. These examples are the optical symmetry of ovals and princess cuts, all actual photos, no ray traced or hypothetical images. So from all this physical and optical data that we've collected, we identified the highest performing diamonds. So then we isolated the proportions and angles that they shared in common. And we also correlated how variations in each cut parameter impacted aspects of light performance. And then from there, we were able to establish and set the minimum requirements for 8X. So let's talk about how ovals are evaluated. The first 7 categories are the same across all shapes. The 8th category is called shape aesthetics. I'm not going to go over all of them in detail again because Angelo did a nice job. So we're just going to talk about shape aesthetics and then the specific proportions for ovals. So when we considered what's important and unique to oval brilliance for cut evaluation, the most obvious features to avoid are bow ties and poor shape outlines. You're all familiar with bow ties. It's the dark area seen in the center of some ovals, the shadow caused by light blockage from the viewer. Okay. For 8X, we're measuring this effect with machine vision to ensure all 8X ovals have a minimal bow tie and a nice balanced contrast. Then we're also evaluating the outline shape. So ovals should be a desirable ellipse shape without shoulder bulges. Like in this example, you see the red outline is a nice shape and then there's some bulges on the shoulders. And you also wouldn't want something that's an egg-shaped oval. So the shape aesthetic images shown on the certificate represent the axis symmetry of the diamond, and it shows the precision of the shape outline along with facet shapes and sizes. So these are the proportion ranges required for ovals. Within these ranges are where we see the highest performing ovals. So for example, we limit the depth percentage to 63.5% because above that depth, we almost always see a bow tie develop. But it's also important to know that just because you have these ranges, a diamond's cut within these proportions, it doesn't mean that it will qualify as 8X. Proportions is just one of the 8 categories that must be excellent. Okay, and then I just want to show you a few examples of optical symmetry of ovals. And you can see how every facet and angle, just as Angela explained, every ratio of the angles, it impacts the pattern of optical symmetry that we see. Okay, so now let's go over princess cuts. So for princess cuts, the 8 categories are the same as for ovals. For the shape aesthetics category, we're measuring the squareness of the shape outline. So the corner angles, you can see in the next slide, the corner angles must be 90 degrees, and the length to width ratio must be 1 to 1.015 maximum. And this is much narrower than what you'll find in other cut programs, which commonly will allow square to be 1 to 105. The picture here, you can see the corners are slightly skewed and the ratio is 103. For princess cuts, the shape aesthetic image shown on the certificate is also axis symmetry. And these images show the deviations in the corner angles. They're the actual measurements of this stone. So on the left, you see an example of an 8X princess cut with 90-degree corners. And on the right shows an average princess cut with one corner at 88.9 degrees and one corner at 92.2 degrees. It's slightly skewed. Another feature that's unique to princess cuts is that the corners should be undamaged. This is an example of a VVS chip on the corner that was rejected for 8X. But a damaged stone like this could achieve the highest cut grade in any other cut system. So here's a closer look at the optical symmetry of a few princess cuts. You can see there's an awful cut on the left and a gorgeous 8X cut with a beautiful symmetrical pattern on the right. These are the proportion ranges for princess cuts. These were established by data mining actual light performance results and correlated to these specific proportions. So let's look a little closer. Here you see an example on the left. This is an average cut, and then on the right, a princess cut. The two notable differences in proportions are the crown height, which directly correlates to brilliance. So an 8X princess must have a crown height of at least 10% and less than 15%. Also note the two distinct pavilion angles on the 8X diagram. So the first pavilion angle is measured from the girdle to the culet, and the second is measured from the bottom of the half moon facet to the culet. And to be an 8X princess, these two angles must be at least 20 degrees different, but not more than 28 degrees. And that creates the optimal relationship for maximum brilliance. So when a diamond is cut within all these specified proportion ranges and the faceting is optically precise, it results in excellent light performance, which we measure as brilliance, fire, and scintillation. And this is what makes a diamond beautiful. So now I'm going to hand it over to Steve to tell you about some of the sales benefits of 8X.
Thank you, Sherry, and hi, everybody. I'd like to take a minute to highlight a few of GCAL's exclusive benefits. GCAL remains the only diamond grading lab in the world to stand behind our grading with a consumer guarantee. The only lab to offer GemPrint fingerprint technology, the only ISO 17025 accredited forensic lab in the world, and last but certainly not least, every GCAL certified diamond is graded here in the USA. You don't have to worry if the stone was graded overseas to different diamond standards or if the lab was located in the diamond factory that cut the stone, which actually exists. Every single diamond goes through its entire certification process in our laboratories in New York City. This should make a big difference to you and your customers. Every GCAL 8X certificate includes the GemPrint fingerprint image that I just mentioned. GemPrint is a patented and proven technology that allows for unique identification of every diamond. Every 8X cert also includes a beautiful 360 video, fire video, and scintillation video. Also included with every GCAL cert are photo micrographs. These are actual photos taken through the crown and pavilion of your customer's diamond. No generic imaging. A to scale proportion diagram and a laser inscription that includes the 8X logo. The bottom line, if you're looking to differentiate and add value to your inventory, compete against branded cuts, and provide an exceptional product, 8X is the answer. So let's talk about some of the specific benefits that retailers of 8X are experiencing. Again, that key word, differentiation, is one of the biggest benefits that we hear all the time from retailers and manufacturers. 8X will differentiate your store and your products while enhancing your reputation. Simply stated, one retailer from Michigan said, 8X draws attention to my store and gets me business. And there's no need to ever lose a sale to one of those branded cuts. The 8X certificate and 8X diamonds, of course, allow you to effectively compete with any of these brands for those premium cut diamond sales. As another retailer told us, this is exactly what we need to compete against online ideal cuts. They are mostly average compared to 8X. Their words, not ours. Selling a great product is just easier. And if you don't already know, an 8X diamond sells itself. The grading is guaranteed and the cut is unsurpassed. Here's one of our favorite testimonials. Let me tell you, he said, for my customers anyway, it's like GCAL is printing money. When I demonstrate the 8X cert, I never lose the sale. A Southwestern retailer said, it makes it a whole lot easier to sell diamonds. Once my customers see an 8X, they can't buy anything else. You can order sight unseen, like online, for example, and have confidence that you'll always receive an accurately graded, beautifully cut diamond. Again, as one retailer said, once we point out your guarantee, there are no more questions. You put your money where they can see it in writing. 8X is an extraordinary diamond. So the 8X cert should look and feel extraordinary as well. The 8X cert has a rich black front and back cover, printed on an ultra high quality tear-proof and waterproof material that you'll be proud to put in your customers' hands. One amazing benefit of 8X we probably hear most often is the digital experience. The 8X digital cert will help you close more sales. Every 8X certified diamond has a digital certificate that includes a 360 video, a gorgeous fire video, and a scintillation video. And if your customers aren't ready to buy, but you can have them scan the QR code, or you can text them the link. So they have all the diamond information to help them make the decision to buy even after they leave the store. And the 8X digital cert is a huge advantage for customers shopping on your website. With that, I'd like to now pass the baton back to Stuller, where they will share lots of valuable information. Susie, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, I think there can really be no doubt how fantastic the whole certification process is, and that 8X diamonds really are, something that if you are out there and you're interested, holiday season is coming up, and I think any jeweler would be smart to have some of these in their case for this coming holiday selling season. I think nothing more romantic than a holiday proposal, personally. All right, well, you mentioned the idea of purchasing stones online, and lucky we have an expert in the building with us here who knows everything there is to know about purchasing gemstones and diamonds online. Heather, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what is the Stuller online experience like, particularly when related to these 8X diamonds?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So here at Stuller, obviously, we are selling to the retailers, and we actually have a really amazing digital experience to offer our retailers and Stuller customers. So we're going to go ahead and pull up our website right now so you can follow along with me as we navigate through to see those 8X diamonds. So this is Stuller's homepage. If you hover over products, go down into diamonds, you'll land on this shopping page here. Scroll down just a bit, you'll see the lab-grown diamonds call out in the bottom right-hand corner. You can choose to learn more or shop. We're going to choose to shop right now because we're preparing for that holiday season. And as you can see in the right-hand corner, we have an 8X filter, which allows you to see only lab-grown diamonds at Stuller that offer the 8X by GCAL cut grade. So once you have your parameters narrowed down to exactly what your customer is looking for, you can scroll down towards the bottom and see the website. You can see all the different search results on the screen. You can choose which diamonds are meeting your customer's parameters, and then offer the opportunity to showcase that diamond in its full glory. So you can zoom in to see that diamond, hover over, and look at all of the different inclusions that that stone particularly may have. And once you've narrowed down the options for your customer, let's go ahead and then compare those stones. So in this particular example, we will compare 3 different serialized lab-grown diamonds with a GCAL cut grade. If you click the compare feature, you can now see all 3 of those in one view. This really makes it super easy for your customers to narrow down their options even more. So once you've decided on that one special diamond, let's go ahead and look at it in all of the aspects that we talked about earlier. So here you can see the product details page for this particular diamond, notating the 8X by GCAL's cut grade in the top right-hand corner of the screen. If you click the GCAL report, you'll immediately be navigated to the GCAL website. So Steve really covered this earlier. This is the digital experience on GCAL's website. And you can hover to see the different fire videos, the optical brilliance videos that GCAL really offers on their website. So you really get to immerse your customer into the digital experience of this particular diamond. And the goal is to just fall in love with it. You can see the inscription there, just kind of popped up for us. This is that report that Steve also mentioned earlier. So hopefully that digital experience really sells that stone for you. If you're needing to learn a little bit more about what 8X is, you can click the Learn More, and you'll be directed here, which is Stuller's information page explaining all of the details about 8X by GCAL. So feel free to know that Stuller has the education that you need. If you need a little bit more information, GCAL can obviously provide that for you as well. So know that you can rely on either Stuller or GCAL to get all of your questions answered when it comes to getting prepared for the holiday season with 8X diamonds. Susie, what do you think?
I feel like I need to buy some of these 8X diamonds immediately because you've made it so easy, you know? I think it's important to note that, you know, Stuller prides itself on being a partner to jewelers in the industry. And so we do take it very seriously, making sure that all of the information that you want on these fantastic stones is available at your fingertips. We're lucky that we have GCAL here as well. We're excited to be really learning more about these fantastic stones. So, you know, Heather did a fantastic segue for me. She said, we have all the answers. We're about, 35 minutes into our webinar, and I think we're at the point where we can kind of enter into our question and answer period. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull up some of the questions that our audience has been asking. We're going to give the people what they want. So the first question I've got here is, I'm going to address everybody who's here on the webinar, all my experts. Will there be more 8X fancy shapes? I'm going to say that for our GCAL team. And then Heather, will Stuller offer them?
Well, I'm going to take that first and say we want to carry more. I hope that there are more shapes that GCAL is going to offer within the 8X cut parameter. So I would say yes, Stuller's going to carry that, but I'll let GCAL answer the question that everyone's probably wanting to have answered. Are there going to be more shapes?
Thank you, Heather and Susie, for the great question. We are working hard on launching 2 new shapes, Cushion and Radiant. Those are coming next. And we have additional fancy shapes coming as well. So there will be more 8X shapes, and we are delighted to hear that Stuller will be offering them.
Yes, thank you.
All right, can't wait for that. That's going to be fantastic. Okay, so here's an interesting question that has come in. How much longer does it take to cut an 8X diamond? I think it's, pretty clear that the systems that are in place to evaluate these stones are rigorous. I want to know, does it take a lot longer to cut an 8X diamond? Carl, what's the answer to this?
Absolutely, it takes a lot longer to cut an 8X diamond. Exact time, I can't tell you, but the feedback I get from the factories is that they could cut probably 4 regular GIA triple X's in the time it takes him to cut one
Wow. Yeah.
8X.
That's pretty remarkable. I think that's a significant difference for sure. So, if you're out there and you're unsure about the quality, I think that speaks for itself right there. Just the time that goes into making sure that everything is, meeting all the standards that we need. All right, next question here. I'm going to direct this to my team here at Stuller. Do you maintain an inventory of 8X diamonds? And if you do, what is the typical delivery time?
Heather, you want to take that?
I can take that
Yeah.
one. We do have an inventory here for all of your retailers to purchase. We have a number of stones available in all 3 shapes, round, oval, and princess. And they are all available for rapid delivery. So we can ship them out to you today because they are located here in our Stuller headquarters in Lafayette, Louisiana. So start shopping.
Absolutely. You heard it here first, folks. Start shopping. Holidays will be here before we know it. All right, so I've got another question here that came in. Do either of your companies offer sales training for 8X? So we haven't heard from our GCAL team in a while. GCAL team, what do you have to say about this?
I'll take that because I love that question. Thanks very much. It's a big part of what I do, and we've done a whole lot of training with really wonderful results that we're hearing back from retailers. We continue to hear how salespeople can actually see the results, sometimes immediately following the training. So the best thing to do is reach out to Stuller. We will collaborate with Stuller and then work out the details of when and how you want to do the training. But it can be multiple people, multiple stores. It's easy to work out. Just reach out and let us know.
Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. Another question that we had come in is, I'm going to direct this one also to our GCAL team. This is from the chat. It says, can you take a GIA certificate and regrade it for GCAL? What's the answer to that?
Well, I'll take this one. People can definitely submit any diamond they want to see if it qualifies for an 8X cut grade. I would say from our past experience that typically, and to note what Carl said, typically manufacturers aren't cutting 8X by accident. So it's highly unlikely that a stone that wasn't cut for 8X is going to make it. But people are welcome to submit any diamonds to our lab for certification and certainly to check against the criteria of 8X, not a problem.
Fantastic. All right. Looks like there are some questions coming in. It's not too late. If you have questions, feel free to ask them. Looks like I'm pulling up the chat here. All right. So we've got a question that says, what is the showcase experience like? I'm assuming that's referring to the online showcase experience. We did have that short kind of video where we, showed what that online experience is like. But I don't know if maybe one of you at GCAL wants to speak a little bit. When you were developing that online experience, what were some things that you really wanted to make sure, what questions did you really want to make sure you answered for the customer?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to this question, but I think that the most important thing, and we speak to consumers every day that are in that diamond buying experience, and most of what we hear from them is, they're unsure. They're looking at something online or they're looking at a list. And they just don't know. And so with the creation of the 8X digital experience was to answer every question they had, to leave no questions at the end. So if a customer is focused on the physical excellence of the diamond, that are focused on the proportions, we created the most stringent proportion set that produces optimal results. We have the active light performance analysis in BRILLIANCE fire and scintillation, right? And we also have the optical precision via the optical symmetry and hearts and arrows. So again, we talked about it's the most comprehensive and stringent performance-based cut grade. And so it answers every question. There's not an analysis that's not done. And then when you add all of the videos and the photography we do, basically somebody can feel like they're looking at the diamond in front of themselves, right? And that was the point, was let them see all the gemological properties of this stone, right? And be able to make an informed and confident decision when purchasing that diamond.
Let me jump in with one comment. Angela just said, an informed decision. That is critically important to the consumer. And the mandate that we're hearing from the consumer is, don't just tell me, show me. They want to see what, if you're telling me that this diamond is all these wonderful things, great, but prove it to me, demonstrate it to me. And the online experience is a fabulous way to really get that demonstration of why the diamond is everything the salesperson, your salesperson, says it is.
All right. And we've got, looks like another kind of follow-up question to that. You know, Heather, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what is the Stuller showcase like? And, you know, when you're trying to sell this to a customer, you're probably not showing them the website. What is the Stuller showcase experience like compared to the web experience? Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So our retailers that are signed up to utilize our Stuller showcase really allows them to utilize the Stuller website, but with their branding on it. So now it says Heather's Jewelry on it once you've logged into the Stuller showcase portal, and everything that we reviewed earlier. So the entire Stuller website, when viewing the lab grown diamond search page, all of that will appear on your website as well. So you log into Showcase, make sure you set your markups as needed, and then you'll be able to shop the lab grown by 8X cut grade. You'll be able to shop all of that. You'll even be able to access the digital report experience, which we showed. Steve also recovered that as well. And then you'll also be able to educate your customer on Stuller.com about what 8X by GCAL is all about. So yes, absolutely. Stuller Showcase has it ready for you. All you have to do is log into Showcase mode.
Fantastic. That was a great question. All right. Next question we've got is, I guess we're going to toss this back to our GCAL team. What % of rounds submitted get an 8X certification? And then same question for Princess and same question for Oval.
So that's a great question with a couple of answers. So one of the things that we've undertaken since the inception of the 8X is a virtual review of stones before they've left the factory. As we mentioned, I think several times, we do all of the grading and certification here in our lab in New York City, and we think that's very beneficial to everybody who consumes GCAL certificates. But the negative of that is that we're not next to the factories in India typically. So we review and go back and forth with manufacturers all the time, exchange files, and can do a pretty good analysis of those stones before they leave. And so for the manufacturers that take part in that program, I would say we have a very, very high pass rate. One of the few things we can't see is polish. So I would say the most significant rejection for round diamonds when they come is polish, because that's very difficult to see virtually. On Princess and Ovals, obviously those shapes were newly released at JCK, so we're only about 4.5 months in. We're definitely seeing a lower pass rate even with the pre-review. These are very difficult stones to cut. They're very stringent parameters. We work with the factories to try to help them perfect it, right? So when we're pre-approving, the pass rate is higher. When people are just randomly submitting without any kind of correspondence beforehand, the rate is much lower, right? Because we said it's, I think the hearts and arrows we look for specifically on rounds is a very high-end hearts and arrows. It's not just any hearts and arrows. When we're looking at ovals, we're looking to minimize that bow tie. On the princess cuts, these square corners and restricted length width, it's things that are not standard in the industry. They're things that we find very valuable to the performance of the diamonds, but they're not standard the way people cut them. So it's a low pass rate if they're not intending to cut for it. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah. Can I just add to that also? So another way to look at this question is like when you're explaining to a consumer, if you look at 75% of diamonds maybe are graded excellent, really only 1 to 2% would make 8X. It's a very small percentage overall in the market that would make 8X.
Sure, for sure. And okay, I've got another follow-up question, I guess, of my own, but I did see it in the chat, is how long does this grading process take typically?
The 8X process?
Yes.
Yeah. So hopefully, as you can appreciate from looking at all of the visuals and images and videos we do, it does take longer. It's a very detailed process. All of our processes at GCAL are very detailed, but with the additional image and video analysis steps, it takes longer. I would say it adds several days to our current turn times at that point.
Absolutely. But you're really getting something that holds a lot of weight because it has been so thoroughly evaluated. As you said, we get the certificate, it's important to realize that while it may take extra time, you're getting, excellent information. Your customers getting excellent information. So like to think it's worth it. All right, we got another question. This is actually a good one. Are there any in-store marketing and branding materials available specifically geared toward 8X cut diamonds?
Steve, do you want to
Who
handle?
wants to take that? Yeah, okay. We are in fact working on a program. We want to work with companies like Stuller and even do some things internally. The requests that we get a lot are for window signs, window signage, clings, window clings for that. What's really cool about those is the consumer can see the sign and not see in the store, but the storekeeper can look out through the cling and see the consumer. Yes, we are definitely working on that. But the one thing that we are actively doing, retailers are contacting me and saying they want to produce some marketing, they want to produce a sign or whatever it may be. Can I possibly give them provide them with the graphics for that? Absolutely, every day, happy to do that. So if you've got a sign you want to do, an ad you want to make, a marketing promotion you want to do, we would be happy to provide you with any and all the graphics to promote the 8X diamond. And I'm sure Stuller will do the same if you're promoting Stuller as well.
Steve, you've actually got a brochure right behind you.
Yeah, I
We
was
have
just
those
going to say,
brochures.
Heather, why don't you talk a little bit about also what you've got on the table in front of you as well? Yeah, there
right
you
there.
go.
Absolutely. You can reach out to the GCAL team. You can also reach out to the Stuller team as well. We have some of these pamphlets here at the building that we can absolutely ship you. It's the printed version basically of the digital experience, which we saw earlier today. So definitely consumer facing. And then we also brought in just a handful of stones because what would a webinar about diamonds be without diamonds themselves? So we brought a few just to kind of display here along with the matching cert that GCAL talked about earlier. So it's the 8X by GCAL. It really gives you all of the information that you need about that one diamond. So whenever you order those 8X by GCAL diamonds from Stuller, just know that you'll get this diamond with that cert so that you can make a really nice presentation to your consumer.
And we'll of course be happy to supply brochures to anybody who needs them.
Exactly. We're educating everybody. Everybody gets a GCAL logo wherever they want. It's always a good thing. All right. I've got a good question just, in case people were tuning in a little bit late. Heather, why don't you just remind us, how can someone find a, 8X classified diamond on the Stuller website? Do we have a page? Is there a toggle? How do they search for that?
We do have a specific URL, but I would say the easiest and quickest way to get there would be go to your Stuller.com webpage, make sure you log in so that you can see all of the pricing right in front of you. Hover over diamonds after you hover over products, and then you can easily click lab grown diamonds right there on the screen. So there you go, our website right there, hover over diamonds, click it, and then you'll scroll down just a bit to get to lab grown diamonds, but make sure that you use that filter. We have a filter that you can utilize that allows you to see only 8X diamonds so that you have one easy to shop experience for all of your customers.
Fantastic. All
well
right.
done on the supporting graphics.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we've gotten pretty much everyone's questions answered. We are coming up to that hour mark. I did just want to remind everybody, if you are out there today and you are interested about perhaps showing this webinar to a sales associate, you want to educate your team a little bit more on 8X diamonds, on Stuller, on GCAL, this webinar was recorded. We will be working to get it out to y'all. So we're excited to go ahead and share that information with you. Make sure we're sharing, all the benefits of these beautiful stones with everybody who's interested in finding out. I would say if you have any additional follow-up questions, Stuller.com is always open, and the team here is always excited to make sure that we have the information that you're looking for. I don't want to speak for GCAL, but they seem like pretty nice people. I'm sure that they would also be happy to answer any questions that you may have. And I think with that being said, I want to take the opportunity to thank both the GCAL team as well as the Stuller team of experts for taking time out to help educate us on this these 8X lab-grown stones. Stuller is so excited to be part of this, and just thank you all for your time. Again, if you're out there in webinar world and you want to know a little bit more, feel free to reach out to us, and we will be getting you the recording as soon as we can. I want to wish everybody a good luck selling this holiday season, and Stuller is excited to partner with you in whatever your jewelry needs may be. So happy shopping and happy selling.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You all.